All right, everybody, welcome back to the Waiver Wire. It is July 1st, Monday night. Free agency has been open for just over 24 hours now. I'm joined again with Nick. We're here to kind of discuss some of what's been going on with the free agency, man. How you feel about this year's free agency?
Whew, a lot of action. It's been wild, man. Like $3 billion has been spent, and we're in a place right now where everyone is sitting and waiting on one man, the man that goes by Kawhi Leonard. And if he chooses the Clippers or the Raptors, we're talking about a league that is has so much parity. There are so many teams that could compete for the title, and that doesn't happen a lot in the NBA. And I hope he picks the Clippers or the Raptors because it would be really awesome where we go into a season and we don't know who's going to win it, and that would just be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think, should you bring up Kawhi, we might as well dive right into Kawhi. Lakers, Clippers, Raptors are his three realistic teams. The Lakers continue to climb up the betting odds to sign him. I think they're leading. They're like even now. I think it'd be awful if he goes to the Lakers. I do not want to see him in a Laker uniform. I think the league, as far as the Western Conference goes, is so competitive right now. You got
Yeah.
people thinking the Rockets are the best team in the Western Conference. You got people thinking Utah, Portland, maybe. If Kawhi goes to the Lakers, that just puts them, tier one, where everybody else can be tier two and filtering in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
I'd hate to see him go to the Lakers and pair up with AD and LeBron. With AD and LeBron there, I think that's already two of the five best players in the league on a team. You put Kawhi in there, that's arguably three of the five best players on the same team. So
Yeah.
we're gonna see
Yeah.
again like the Warrior what the Warriors did the last 5 years again in the Lakers uniform. Uh, so
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be that dominant, but I do agree they would be the best. And the worst part is it would minimize each player. I mean, we wouldn't be able to watch the best of Anthony Davis, the best of LeBron, or the best of Kawhi Leonard because they would all have to share.
yeah.
So that would kind of suck too.
Yeah, I think especially like just watching Kawhi this year with Toronto, the way he just like took over a team, and he just that's one argument the Raptors can make to go back to Toronto is they believed in him, they gave him the keys to the franchise, they tossed DeRozan for him. They're like, man, this team is yours. You have all the freedom in the world to take it over, and he basically owns Canada now. So it's like
Yeah, really.
at least in the basketball world, everybody knows who he is out there. So that's an argument the Raptors can make. But what do you think about him going to the Clippers? They won 48 games last year. They retained Patrick Beverly. They still have Harrell. They still have a lot of their depth. Gallinari is still there. What do you think about him if he goes to the Clippers?
I think they're an immediate top three team in the West. I think Kawhi Leonard's that good. Don't forget about Mo Harkless.
Yeah,
And and I just think Kawhi is that special. I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is an up and coming point guard. Their other first round pick from last year is Jerome Robinson from Boston College, and I really liked him as well. I think he will add a little bit off the bench. Landry Shamet, Montrezl Harrell has always been my guy. I think that wherever he goes, being Kawhi Leonard, it just makes that team an immediate contender. And most likely Danny Green's going to follow him wherever he goes. So there's
yeah,
another guy.
yeah, absolutely. I obviously ideally for me, I want him to go to Toronto, and I think
Yeah.
ideally for the league, you want. I think for most people, you want him to go back to Toronto. And it just keeps I already think the West is much stronger than the East. So if Kawhi just signs in the East as well, just makes the West just that much stronger and that much tougher to navigate through. You know.
It keeps the balance of power,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is
If
great.
he stays in Toronto, it'll keep a balance of power in a sense. But yeah, man, keeping it in the West, we got a team, the Utah Jazz, making moves out here. They were 50 and 32 last year. They signed Ed Davis, traded for Bogdanovich, and they traded for Mike Conley. The GM's only been a GM for 2.5 months, and he's making some serious moves, man. Do you think they're like a legitimate contender in the West now?
Yes, I do. I really like Mike Conley. I think he's very underrated. I think that most people forget how well he played when he was with Memphis when they were somewhat of a real threat with Gasol and Randolph, Tony Allen. I think that Bogdanovich is a guy who can just flat fill it up. I love his shooting ability. As soon as he comes across half court, he's open. And he really stretches that floor for Mitchell and Conley. And it also opens up some space for Gobert to work in the middle. I thought sometimes last year with Derek Favors that the key got a little crowded, and I think Gobert will actually become more efficient on offense as well with more spacing with Ingles and Bogdanovich around the perimeter. I think Dan Schneider's a great coach. I think he's a probably a top 6, 7 coach in the NBA. Ed Davis is one of those dudes that I'm pretty sure if every NBA team could have Ed Davis,
Yeah,
they would say yes. He's just
absolutely.
one of those type of guys.
I love Ed Davis, man. He's awesome.
Me too. He's just got energy and he's just a great player. I
Mm.
think that big question is going to be their bench players, but in terms of a starting five, I mean, I don't think there's a team that has a clearly better starting five than Utah does right now.
Yeah, Utah. I mean, I think they're a major contender this year. I think it was clear last year they lacked offense. I think this offseason what they did is they went out there and said, hey, we're gonna address that issue. You know what I mean? They were
Yeah,
a top five defensive team the last 3 years, the second best in 2018, while being ranked 14 on offense. And it just seems like a lot of what they did this offseason. I mean, getting Mike Conley and Bogdanovich is like, hey man, we're serious. We're gonna get some scoring out here. And I think the spacing that they're going to allow Rudy Gobert to work with inside, like you said as well, is going to be phenomenal. I think the Davis signing is an absolute steal. Anytime you can get Davis like that, he's a spark. I mean, he's a defensive spark immediately. He comes in there, he hustles for every ball. I mean, he's an incredible backup. He's going to be able to like take the defensive reins from Gobert, and give him a breather here and there. So I think Utah is a real contender this year in the Western Conference.
yeah,
But yeah, man, I think one of the biggest surprises from the night, so D'Angelo Russell trade with the Warriors.
yeah.
What do you think? What do you think happened there?
Man, I mean, I was
That
blind.
that that was yeah, that was super random. It just came out of like left field. I saw that shit. I'm like, damn. I haven't,
Yeah, it's been the off season of signing trades.
yeah,
My goodness. So basically, Kevin Durant, he chose the Nets very early in the free agency period, and then nothing happened. So that move all of a sudden turns into a sign and trade, and the Warriors did that because they don't want to be empty-handed when Durant leaves. So I guess they just got on the phone with D'Angelo because he has to agree to it as well. And obviously, like most players, they're gonna love to play with Curry, and they're gonna love to
yeah,
play with Golden State. I think that he fits really well. Um, but there are some concerns, I would say, because to me, D'Angelo, being a lefty and being the type of scorer that he is, he's very methodical, very herky jerky, and he really likes to have the ball in his hand, and he likes to work in the pick and roll. And the Warriors don't really have an offensive threat as a big man. I mean, Looney's a solid player, but
mm.
he's like,
You see
I
the
mean,
contract they got Looney on.
yeah, that's
I
pretty good.
I
3 years.
I think it's good for the Warriors, man. Five million a year for Looney. I thought he was pretty. I thought he played pretty well for them, to be honest.
Yeah, I just think I just don't think he has any upside. But yes, he's very solid. He's another guy that I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being a very Ed Davis type
Yeah.
career.
Mm.
But they don't have a pick and roll guy to work with D'Angelo. I think he'll still be a great player, and Curry is the type of dude that he is willing to take a step back for anybody to get comfortable. And then once Clay gets back, there's a lot of perimeter scoring. They lost Iguodala to
Mm.
open up money. I think that's a big loss this year, but in the long term, I don't think it is. I think Iguodala is getting to the end of his rope. But yeah, it'll be interesting to watch the Warriors play. Do they have anyone who's 7 foot tall?
Yeah, I feel bad with the whole Iggy thing is like because I like Iguodala, but I just think with his health being such a big question mark, it's just it seemed like the whole postseason they were talking about him being hurt in some sense, you know what I mean? But nobody had like a clear answer. So
Yeah,
it,
money was an issue.
yeah, this trade to me was I mean this was the biggest surprise to me. The whole Butler to Miami thing was also decently surprising to me. I had no idea he was. I didn't think Butler and Miami had any connection at all. But I mean, I guess that's just how free agency works. I didn't think D'Angelo had any connection with the Warriors either. But I mean, just
No.
at 23 years old, he's playing some of his best basketball, coming off an All Star game, and I mean, I've read a lot about him being a trading piece for them, and he's an incredible tradable asset for them. Also,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
interesting.
Yeah, with the whole basically with the whole sign and trade, it guarantees the rotational players are gone. With DeMarcus Cousins, Quinn Cook. I mean, it's just I don't know, man. I think they can go either way. He's incredibly tradable. They can bring in they can bring in a couple rotation players, some solid players with him, or they can keep him. And I think him and Curry would play well off each other. You know, I think I mean Russell can shoot the ball real well. He's a spot up shooter. I think he's a decent player for them if he wants to keep him. I think he's a real good player. You know, but they can. I mean, also I could see him trading him too if they need to bring in some rotational players.
Yeah, yeah, it will be interesting to see if they move him and where they would move him. I think that the Warriors need to look at themselves realistically and understand that this is going to be a lost season. So I would think that they should prepare for the season following this one because of Klay Thompson's injury and because of Kevin Durant's departure, and now with the loss of Iguodala and the loss of Jordan Bell, which is minuscule, but still you're losing a guy who played a lot in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they should take the season as a lost season and start to rebuild for that following one.
Yeah, I just think it's hard for me to gauge some of these trades because it's like Russell's a really good player, and I think he brings a lot to the table, and I think the Warriors could benefit from him. I think any team in the league could benefit from him. But it's like if there's that one desperate team that really needs a guard, you know, and they really like how he plays, you know, I mean, they could offer him, a bunch of nice rotational players. And if I'm the Warriors owner at that point, I don't know what that offer would be, but I mean, I'd be definitely listening. You know, I'd be interested to hear what people would be wanting to offer me. You know,
Yeah,
so
and I wonder how much power Russell has in his contract. I wonder if he can be shipped anywhere or if there is certain verbiage in that contract where he has to agree to the trade.
yeah.
Because I think the Knicks have a lot of pieces, but I don't know if Russell has the power to veto that trade. So that'll be interesting to find out.
Gosh, that would suck to be in Brooklyn and build a culture like that and then go right across the street to the shitty Knicks. You know what I mean? Hey,
Yeah,
how surprising was that Jimmy Butler trade to you, though, honestly? Because to me, I read zero about, Jimmy Butler and Miami being linked together at all.
I was somewhat surprised. I remember last year when Butler was traded from Minnesota, Miami had like a real slight interest, but it wasn't anything big. At least they didn't make it out that it was. And then leading up to free agency, the Heat's name started to pop up a little bit more. So it was surprising. I think the reasoning was the most surprising. Butler wants to be the alpha. He wants
Mm.
to be the guy, and he wants a team built around him. Very Damian Lillard like, Russell Westbrook like. He wants the keys to the car, and he wants everyone to fall in line, which is why they shipped a bunch of people out today as well, which we will get to.
And that's why I thought he was a big problem with going to Houston because I feel like you can sense he wants to be the alpha, like especially with his time in Minnesota. It just seemed like he was like putting everybody down to build himself up, and then he wanted to get out. You know what I mean? So I kind of got that feeling from him, and I was thinking, man, if you go to Houston, you got egos like Chris Paul, which I'm not using ego as a bad thing. Like it's fine to have an ego, but you got like these, you got egos like James Harden and Chris Paul in the locker room, and then you're gonna add Jimmy Butler in there too. I was like, man, that's gonna be. I mean, I thought that was gonna be a mess. So
Yeah,
I could see him definitely wanting to be the alpha and going to a team like Miami and trying to take over. You know, so
yeah, it'll be. I like Jimmy Butler. I like his mentality, but I don't know if you can win a championship when he's the best player. So that will be interesting. And clearly, him being the alpha is more important than being on a title contender. So, which is fine. Everyone can want different things, but it'll be interesting to see how they build around him because they're going to need guys with thick skin to play with Butler because he's very abrasive.
yeah. And one other thing that I kind of like during free agency, not contract wise, the contract is a little too rich, but I like Tobias Harris staying in Philly. I think I think he can do a lot there. You know, I know we talked about that last podcast, but now that it's set in stone that he's going to be there for a while, I'm a Tobias Harris fan, and
I love him.
I think he's got a lot to offer for Philadelphia. You know, and I like Joel, I like Embiid as well, so it'll be fun. But anyways, man, getting to the Blazers. Ennis Canner's gone. I mean, we'll get to Hassan. We'll get to Hassan Whiteside in a little bit, but what do you think about Ennis Canner leaving? I mean, he got 2 years, $10 million from the Celtics. I kind of figured he was going to go to the Celtics. I know the Celtics were kind of in talks with him last year during the buyout market. And Bill Simmons is a big Celtics fan. He talked about Canner nonstop, and I'm just like, yeah, he's probably going there. But what did you think about that?
Cantor the Celtics, I think they needed a center, and they got one who is going to fit in very well. He's a scorer. He can distribute better than people give him credit, and he's not a great defender, but he's not as bad as what people want to
Yeah,
say either. I
absolutely.
think that they could also benefit from getting another big man, a la Willie Cauley Stein.
Hmm.
But I like the move. I like Cantor. I think he's a good dude, and not a lot of money. So I think it's a great move for the Celtics.
Yeah, I really like Canner, and he played a major role. I mean, we went 18-5 after Nurkic went down, and we plugged Canner into the starting lineup. He averaged 13 points, 9 rebounds, and he shot 56%. I think he was a big. I mean, he was a major key for us. But with this recent trade, with this recent acquisition of Hassan Whiteside, yeah, it hurts a lot less. But Canner's awesome. I really appreciate his time in Portland, and I'll still be a fan of him going forward. He was great. I loved watching him, and I don't think he gets enough credit defensively too. Like people say he's like a terrible, terrible defender, which I'm not saying he's good really, but I'm not saying
No.
he's like the doormat. Like people almost I feel like describe him. Seth Curry, real quick too, got 4 years, 32 million with the Dallas Mavericks. He averaged 8 a game for us, and he was an absolute killer off the bench. From three. I'll miss Seth Curry too, not as much as Canner, but I think we've got our shooting under control now. What do you think about Curry walking?
Yeah, it's just we didn't have the money to bring him back. The contract per year doesn't surprise me. 8 million. It's a little rich for my blood, but what does surprise me is 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're committing to him, and good for Curry. I think he fits in well with that team. I think he'll be valuable off the bench. I think that it's the team that really invested in him first.
Mm-hmm.
While he went down, so I think he'll play well there. I'm just surprised that they committed to him for 4 years, but he'll also be a guy where I don't expect this to happen. But if for some reason things didn't go well in Dallas, that's a good trade piece.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we picked up Hizania. He's 6'8", 220 pounds, 225 pounds. He's a small
Let's
forward.
go.
Now, I actually like him. I was kind of looking into him. I read a little bit about him. He averaged 9 a game, 4 boards, 2 assists, and he shot 40% from the field. And in reality, I think something that not a lot of casual fans look at is like the value in the deal. We got him on a minimum deal. You know what I mean? And he's shown times where he's got some potential. In Orlando, he showed it. Last season down the stretch with the Knicks, he had some big games. What do you think about him? I think it's a super low risk, and I wouldn't say high ceiling. I wouldn't use that, but I'd say like it's low risk and there's some potential there.
Yeah, so Hazonia came out of Croatia a few years ago, number 5 pick overall, the Orlando Magic, and I'm kind of a draft nick, so I was looking at prospects that year, and I loved Mario Hazonia. I loved him. I think that he has so much ability. 6'8", he can just dunk on people. If you need any proof, go back and watch him dunk on Giannis. He's long. He has just limitless range. Ball comes off his hand just so smooth. The problem is people think that he's a creator. They want to give him the ball, they want him to create, and that's not his role. His role is as a stretch four in a small rotation or as a three, and he needs to be sitting out on the perimeter, catch and shoot guy, and I think that's the way Portland's going to use him. He's not going to be a star, but I'm not going to be shocked if he has a role on Portland's team. And if he plays good enough, he'll opt out and get more money after the season. But I'm so excited because he's also a dog. He's going to
Mm.
get in your grill. He's going to trash
He
talk.
he's shown that with LeBron last year. He like stormed down after he blocked his game-winning shot and stuff. Yeah, he's a hustler. That's
Yeah,
a I mean, and then also bringing back Hood. I don't want to talk too much about Hood, but I really like Hood. Against Denver, he averaged almost 15 a game. He was just an absolute killer, and like just the eye test alone. I remember watching that series, and whenever he got the ball, I was like, man, take him to the key. Take him down low because he was just bodying people and just jumping over them and basically, just that little jump shot, and he was consistent. I was like, damn, Hood is a baller, man. What do you think about us retaining Hood for 2 years?
well, as Jalen Rose says, who I really like on
Yeah,
ESPN,
he's awesome. Jalen and Jacoby is my favorite show on ESPN.
it's a make or miss league, man. And Rodney Hood goes out and makes buckets, contested shot maker. He's a shot creator. and I can't wait to see a full season of him.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to bring him in. And earlier in the year, we traded for Kent Bazemore. He's a solid 3 and D player. I mean, we're losing shooting with Curry, obviously, but Bazemore kind of helps out with that. Evan Turner shot 21% from three last year, so Bazemore's shooting 37%, and I mean, it just adds a little more spacing, gives us a little more flexibility on the floor. I mean, I know we discussed Bazemore already, so just real quick, man. What do you think Bazemore brings to our team?
Energy, length, athleticism, a little bit of off-ball scoring, and just more depth. And a guy who is a mid-major dude coming out of college, so he's got that mentality. He's going to fit right in.
Yeah, and also with ET leaving, that opens up playing time for Nasir Little, who I'm a fan of, and Anthony's going to get some minutes too, I think, so that'll be great. But anyways, man, the biggest thing that happened today, Hassan Whiteside. I woke up to this. Hassan, man, in 2016 when he was a free agent, I was like, he came to Portland. He came and had a meeting and he ended up signing with Miami. But I'm like, damn, Portland could use a center. You know what I mean? And I feel like
Yep.
we missed out on him. And it's just crazy that now here goes the last year of that same deal he signed with Miami and he's in Portland. I'm super stoked on this, man. What do you think about the trade for Hassan Whiteside?
Hassan Whiteside is a stud. Hassan Whiteside played on a Miami team with a bunch of dudes who can't shoot. So what happens when there's a bunch of dudes who can't shoot and a post player inside? He gets swarmed. He's a little immature. I get it. He has some concerns off the court. Nothing legal, just kind of personality stuff. But that's because he plays for a bad team and they wanted him to be the man. There's a reoccurring thing that Olshey has been taking advantage of. It's lottery picks who are asked to be stars who don't have the mental makeup to be a star, but they're talented. Yusuf Nurkic, Mo Harkless, Rodney Hood, these type of guys, they get shipped out of town because they weren't supported. And in Portland, they're going to be supported. And Hassan Whiteside doesn't have to drop 20 a game, but guess what? He's going to have plenty of games where he scores 20. He's borderline elite shot blocker. He is incredible. He's going to start until Nurkic gets back. I am so pumped for this deal because we got rid of nobody. Let's be real. Mo Harkless is expendable. Solid player. There's a bunch of Mo Harklesses walking around the NBA. And God bless Myers Leonard, but the dude doesn't have it. We gave up nothing for a guy who was a borderline all-star a few years ago and a guy that all these teams wanted to sign to big money. He is so good and he is going to fit right in. He's already pumped posting those videos about
We
how
got shooters.
he's got shooters. Yeah, he does. And he is just going to be awesome. I can't wait because Portland has proved that they have a culture where they can bring in these type of risky investments and capitalize on it. It's a great move because this is the window of opportunity. And quite frankly, we're contenders right now. We're
Absolutely.
contenders for a title.
Yeah, I think. I mean, he averaged 12.3 points a game, shot 57%, had 11 boards and 2 blocks a game. I mean, you basically said everything. I mean, Harkless and Leonard, we basically swapped them out for a starting caliber center. I mean, he borderline could be an all star. He's gonna be here while Nurkic just recovers from his leg injury. And I mean, I don't know, man. I was so excited about this. He was first in defensive rebound percentage last year and first in defensive rating last year. Like people don't give him the credit he deserves, and it's like all year, all you hear is, "Man, that Myers Leonard contract. Man, wish we could get off Myers contract." And it's like, yeah, we got off it, and we got Hassan Whiteside in return. Like, I don't know.
No,
I just don't know what you could ask for more as a Blazer fan. Like,
nothing.
I when I first saw this deal, I was kind of like, I don't know, man. I was thinking, what does Whiteside have like a contract through 2022 that nobody wants to touch or something? But it's like everybody's expiring. What do you have to lose? Oh, Myers Leonard's minutes and Mo Harkless's minutes? Like, wow, that's a tough pill to swallow for someone like Hassan Whiteside. I just think, especially in that Denver series, man, I was getting so frustrated because we gave up offensive rebound after offensive rebound and after offensive rebound. You know what I mean? Like, you can go back and look at the stats from that series, and I bet you that was out of any of the playoff games, we gave up the most offensive rebounds in that series against Denver. I guarantee it. We were awful on the boards. And Hassan Whiteside last year was number one in defensive rebounds. He secured possessions for his team. And
Yeah, we had no one who forced Jokic to play defense.
yeah,
Now you guys.
yeah, honestly, and it's
He's
just
gonna have to bang with Nurkic. He's gonna have to bang with Whiteside and I'm not saying that we're gonna like shut down Jokic, but that's gonna wear on a guy, especially if we meet them in a 7 game series again.
Yeah, I think this really shows too that like, Neil Oshley continues to impress me this offseason. With all these
He should
moves,
have the executive of the year already. Just give it.
honestly, all these moves, I'm just like, man. I mean, like, granted, Nasir Little just kind of fell to us. You know what I mean? I don't think it takes like a great GM to
Yeah.
make that decision. But I mean, the Kent Bazemore trade, I'm like, damn, that was a nice. That was a nice move, all right. And then bringing in Whiteside like this is just like there's not a single move I disagree with thus far. And I just think that this trade shows that like we are in serious winning mode right now. You know what I mean? You don't make this trade unless you really do think like we got what it takes this year, and I definitely believe Portland has what it takes to make it all the way this year.
Yes, they do. We're all in. All
Yeah,
in.
and I one more thing about the Blazers real quick. Harkless and Aminu in the playoffs. 2 years against the Pelicans, I loved Aminu. When we got swept by the Pelicans, he was great. He was like averaging 25 a game as we're getting swept. Harkless as well. Like neither of those guys add 3-point shooting, and neither of those guys add spacing. You know what I mean? You gotta bring it. You gotta have the ability to knock down a three in order to space the floor and let your team work. Bringing in Bazemore, we get 3-point shooting. Spreads the floor. Bringing in Whiteside, he gets to work it down low. I just think this move's amazing. I'm really excited for it. I'm super stoked to finally have Whiteside in Portland with us, man. But anyways, man, you got anything else to say about free agency before we wrap this up? We're about 27 minutes in.
All right, one last thing about the trade because I've seen some things on Twitter, and I don't like to come at people on Twitter because it's just unhealthy.
No, I love
So
this. Let's see it. I
I'm
want to
going
hear
to
it.
come at them through the podcast. Who's going to start for the Blazers at the 4 because we lost Aminu? Blah, blah, blah. His name's Zach Collins. Get used to him. You're going to forget about Aminu real quick. And spoiler, Aminu's not going to start in Orlando for the Tragic. So we're going to be fine. I can't wait for the season. We're going to talk Summer League maybe a little bit next time. I'm so pumped for this season. Rip City, baby.
Man, we're gonna be big too. Is Zach Collins at the 4, Nurk at the 5? I mean, even like Hassan starting at the 5 for the first couple of games. We're gonna be a big team, and we're gonna be able to knock down jumpers even with it. You know what I mean? So, damn,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a fun season, man. Thanks for coming on. We should try to preview Summer League like within the next 2 days or something. I know we've been saying we're gonna do it, but it's busy.
Yeah, we'll get it in before the Vegas one starts.
Yeah, the San Antonio game today was good. It was a good
Yeah.
game. But all right,
Yeah.
man. I'll see you again.
All right, see you, man.